Yeah, it's a bit of a misplay here from Good Gaming and YOLO. Their mid gets a double kill and the first blood. That's huge.
Sorry about that, I am back. I want to apologise to all the viewers and definitely Zhao for putting him on the spot. I just missed out on the first spot, unfortunately. I got back as I saw first spot, I was like,
First
damn.
blood double kill.
Wow.
Illusion.
Yeah, it was a gank here from the supports of Good Gaming onto mid. Outlaw Devourer, they weren't able to lock him down enough. It was a bit under the tower. He popped in Sound Eclipse, pretty much destroyed the entire side. Almost got a triple actually, but he managed to grab a double, and that certainly helps him since he's already in the lead in the mid lane in terms of last hits.
Ah, yeah, I see. Sweet. So, we do have, if we do have a little look at the top lane, the lifesteal, he's doing quite well up at top. He's in 41 for 12. He's been able to control that lane under, pretty much underneath his tower, getting almost all the last hits. And he's going for that early minus, and that will help his net worth keep up throughout the game, and not to mention give him those early XP, or early levels from that XP, from that Midas. And that will help him hit harder and faster in this mid game, and heroes such as that Razor will have to be quite careful, but luckily enough that Razor's static link does go through that magic immunity, so you can still just basically shut down that lifesteal, but lifesteal will be one very hard hero to kill as he starts picking up these bigger items into this mid game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The thing I was sort of mentioning before was I feel like Good Gaming have a lot of, I guess that one combo potential. They have the
Enemy lane,
Iron
actually,
Siren,
we might see a kill onto Insanity. No, it's not going to be happen. They did pop that living armor onto Den, but they just didn't decide to chase on the tower, even though there was a haste currently up on that Bane. Sorry about that.
No, that's all good. Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like they have the more wombo combo potential. However, you only live once. I feel like they, have, I guess, the early game. You know, their lanes are a bit better. You know, this Kunker's not doing too well against the OD. This Timbersaw, you know, he's been fine. He's level 6 now, hasn't died, has a bottle of his own, boots. Like, he's not being shut down. In fact, we do see a net, but is it actually going to be able to kill
Splitter
him?
follows up. We see the open wounds coming out. They're doing auto attacks onto Ruski. Can they find the kill? They need one more auto attack. Can they find it? He's healing up a lot from that reactive armor, and they can't get it. And instead, Timbersaw will get a kill on Leshrac from those auto attacks from the tower. There's a little bit of a misplay there. Leshrac was in range to get those final auto attacks off, but he tried to save it for Squishy, and Squishy just couldn't get back in range. Timbersaw does survive, and there's another kill. Go on the side of YOLO.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Yeah, and I feel like, you know, they should have tried that much earlier on in the game when Timbersaw wasn't as survivable. He didn't have that Timber Chain, you know, level 3 now. You know, they sort of let the Timbersaw just be fine. Like, obviously he's not going to get a lot of last hits and whatnot, but he was still able to get those levels. He's level 6 now, and that was probably about a minute ago. So, you know, there's nothing that he'll... so there was nothing that they really did against him, and I feel like that was a bit of a misplay. I feel like they could have gotten a lot of, or at the very least an early kill on that Timbersaw, which would have been good, except now this Kunker's in a lot of trouble.
Killing spree.
And they will find that kill on that Conquer in mid lane. That's Sanity Eclipse. It's just outrageous at the moment. He had 3 stacks from his Astral Imprisonment. He's got a mechanism up and running, and not to mention a little bit of Nail Talisman, giving him just that more intel, and just that Conquer pops. He's got no int to his name. That's a very nice pickup. Down in bottom lane, there was something I wanted to mention out. These supports, they rotated down when there was 2 or maybe 3 creep waves underneath the tower, and Magnus shared the XP of these supports, so they gained just over a level and a bit of XP to give them that little bit more versatility and damage in their spell combinations, so that Snare and that Riptide's been popped up a little bit more. And actually we have Ruski, he's coming to try and find a kill. He's not going to throw that Chakram, so they're going to be able to find those 2 heroes. But it was a little bit of a nice sharing the XP around, trying to give those supports a little bit more levels to help them come back into this game. Because, I mean, you've got 2 deaths up on that Leshrac. Naga Siren, she's 0 for 0, but she hasn't been able to sit around as long in these lanes as well. And it's just something that will help out a little bit longer, help make them more useful in these engagements.
Yeah, and they certainly need those levels. I mean, you know, we spoke about how they've got the more wombo combo on that, but they need those levels to set up their abilities. I mean, Nike Siren needs the level 6 to set up her set up to sleep.
And we might see a
follow up
turnaround on
with
top lane. We
the-
see the Astral Imprisonment's coming out. The Chakram's been thrown out. The Rage is currently down. He doesn't have any mana to cast anything. And then we go. The Timber Chain comes flying through. And they will find an easy kill onto that Lifestealer.
Yeah, extremely well played there. You know, you only live once. They've really, once this Timbersaw hit level 6, he's really been moved out to mid, and now he's came back to the top lane with the help of the OD, and secured a kill on Lifestealer, who had his Midas, and now he's quite far behind when you think about it. For a Lifestealer who has Midas, his net worth's only 4.3k against a Razor who has almost 4.8 and the OD who has 5.4. It's a bit behind. And I was just saying before, you know, with the levels, you know, the supports of Gu, they really do need those levels, as it certainly helps them in those team fights, which is sort of what well, the only thing they really have going for them at the moment, just because they've sort of lost this. Well, I won't say they lost the top lane. It hasn't been going too well for them, but they certainly lost the mid lane.
And as you're saying about that Wombo combo, that's one of the reasons why Gu are not out of this game by any means, or by any stretch. You have the Naga Siren, you have that Magnus. Magnus, if he can get an RP off from either the Naga Siren setup, or just alone by himself, then you have the follow-up from the Riptide, you have a boat and the Torrent waiting in the mists, and also the Split Earth. You have all these great stuns that can follow up and chain with that Magnus, and if you can get all those stuns off, it doesn't matter how strong your heroes are. If all those things land, that's more than enough burst to kill you and the rest of your team, and then Gu can start turning this game back around into their favor.
Yeah, I mean,
Bottom tower is under attack.
that's exactly right, and I feel like they probably could have started doing that a little bit earlier if their heroes weren't so far behind in terms of levels. But because they are, they haven't really been able to do much with that sort of Wombo combo, or with the strengths of their lineup. It looks like they will just try to go for this top tier 1 when they have their striker, which is a good choice. You know, they lost mid tier 1. Actually, they're just going to back off.
And we see Gu, they might want to fight this. You have Bane, he's running in with haste. He doesn't have Fiend's Grip up. He's about 3 creep kills behind, but he's not going to be able to find this from this creep wave. I would have liked it if the OG and that Timsaw popped out of the lane to give that Fiend's Grip up on that Bane. One more creep kill and then he'll have Fiend's Grip, so he's still not going to be able to have it ready and waiting. And we might see a fight coming very short in this jungle if this Timbersaw decides to rotate back around after picking up this rune.
And it looks like you were just going to wait around, let the illusion scout first. For a second I thought he was just going to timber chain up and start roaming around, but he'll let his illusions do it.
And he might be able to bait out an ability or two here. Instead, Gu, the inside of Gu is just going to back. They had a nice ward here in the lane. They saw 2 heroes. They saw the Timbersaw finally coming for 3rd, and they know what's up. So they're just going to back off, play it safe, and that's what they need to do. They need to play it safe if they can't find the advantage. Because if they get caught out of position by any means, and they lose a hero, they will be gone. But instead, they might find out Bane here. Bane, his live 6. His torrent was a little bit off by Insanity, but they've got that nice ensnare. Shrek's Edict's popped off. X-Master spot. Few more auto attacks. Nice creep blocking coming out by that Naga Siren to make sure the kill goes to where it's needed. And that's on the Lifestealer. And he needed that quite desperately.
Yep, and this is sort of exactly what you were just mentioning a second ago, about how Gu just have to wait patiently and, you know, find the kills when the heroes are just out of position and whatnot, which is exactly what they did do. You know, their timing for abilities was off, but that didn't matter. They had the net, and they were able to finish off the Bane quickly enough for to be no repercussions. You know, the rest of the lineup from Level 1, so they're just not close enough to help him out. And it's a nice kill on that Lifestealer, as you said. It's a good choice to just let him get the last hit.
If we want to have a little look at the difference in gold and XP, I mean, it's a 5.5k gold advantage. It's 16.5 minutes. It's not massive, but that is a nice lead that you want to be sitting in. And the XP is just over 4k XP. That's a few levels to where it's all needed. And at the moment, that's on your supports. And with those supports, with those extra levels, sitting at level 6, they have their very big fights coming up. Shracum's coming out, doing a lot of damage to Virion. We might see the Timsaw. He comes in, he just picks off the Leshrac. Leshrac was standing around, didn't go anywhere. He stood in that Chakram for about 6 seconds, and then the Timbersaw decided to come in, make him pay for it. And now the entire side of Guru are on the run. TP support from Yolo are coming in, and they're looking for blood. Might even see a tier 1 tower go down, and Guru, I really think they should just back off here. Give away this tier 1 tower and farm all the other lanes. You have mid lane pushing in, get some XP there, maybe get that lifesteal into the jungle, but you can't fight this right now. You're not in the position to. Magnus is down on bottom lane. He does have a TP if he needs to come up here, but Yolo, they're in all the right places, waiting on the side, waiting, pushing forward, and they've got the ward and vision to see what's happening. So, Guru just needs to back out of here. And then actually we see Ruska, he jumps in, Chakram's coming out, and Snares landed. A lot of damage coming from Whirling Death. They might even find a kill on Ruski. He went in so far, he had no templates, and the Sanity Eclipse bursts one hero down just instantly, and then it sets him up for the rest of the scene. Nice RP onto 5 heroes, skewer only onto 1 hero. Then we see the nice root coming out from Mugen. Boat coming in, Boat's going to miss. Buyback galore coming from Guru. They buy back with the Nagasarian and that Magnus, but that's not going to be able to do anything. That's a little bit wasted buybacks there. Some gold and time out of the way. I don't think they can find any more heroes. Astral Imprisont's being popped off onto Nerga, and then we see Erod. He's coming in. He's doing auto attacks. X marks the spot. Torrent is not going to miss. So a little bit mistimed. Torrent, he doesn't have X marks the spot too, so he can't perfectly do that. Then we have Den coming in, finds a kill onto the Fiend's gripped Conquer, and then Magnus. He skills away instantly after TPing, so a little bit of a waste of TP, and Yolo, they take a big lead.
Yeah, I mean, the initiation from Guru was a little bit off, you know, the boat hit no one. Nagasarian still does not have that ulti of hers, and 18 minutes into the game, very, very slow. With the help of that, the song, they could have set it up much more better. The RP, yeah, it landed on 3 or 4 heroes, but there was no real follow-up. It just wasn't enough. You know, it sort of seemed like they sort of went in one by one from Guru, and not as a collective group, which sort of, I feel like, lost them that engagement, or at the very least it went as poorly as it did.
And this is where the advantages of having the XP on your supports come off. I mean, that Fiend script held in that Conquer in place, Conquer got picked off, but that root coming out from the Treant Protector, after that RP hit, he threw out his root, and then dude, they couldn't do anything. There was a stun time that they just couldn't capitalize on it because that root just held everyone in place. And Snare actually comes out onto Mugen, but Chakram comes in out of nowhere, and Guru decide to run. Once that Chakram's out, they don't want to be caught in it, because every time they've been caught in it, death has followed. So, nice little disengage coming from Risky to keep his team in the aggressive, and now the tier 2 tower in mid's just gonna fall. There's nothing Guru can do about it. And we actually have Squishy, he's playing very aggressively. He's being chased down by his Timbersaw. He's waiting for his teammates to come. You have a root by the Treant Protector. Is he going to throw down an Overgrowth? Overgrowth has not been thrown. There's the Leech Seed coming out. We see a nice Shockwave coming out. There we go. There's the Overgrowth. There's the Burst. We see a nice skewer in. RP onto 2 heroes, but there's no follow-up. There we go. Split Earth is currently not on cooldown. Fiend Script being popped on that Magnus will fall. Boats come flying in. Boat will not land onto any heroes once again. That's a second missed boat coming out by Insanity. And now they're 2 heroes down, 5 heroes up on the side of Yellow, and then might even see a push into the tier 3s, might rotate down bottom, get a tier 2, or they even have the ability to go to Roshan if they so desire.
Yeah, once again, the lineup of Guru, they haven't been placing their abilities quite right. That RP, the skewer, it was decent, you know, hit 2 heroes, but then the Split Earth and the Torrent were actually, they landed the Split Earth and the Torrent on exactly the same spot, just not on top of the heroes, so just a little bit off. It did no damage, and then, you know, you only live once, so just went in there and found themselves some kills. Wow, that's a ton of damage.
The Shrek walks into death. That Risky's just pulling out so much damage on this Timbersaw right now. He's almost got his Bloodstone up and running. Once he has that going, well, there's no way you're killing this Timbersaw, and Timbersaw's just going to be that nuisance that hangs around in the battle and will just completely wipe out your team. I mean, Leshrac, he's usually not a squishy hero, but he's sitting only on 700 HP, and he'll just burst within 3 spells from that Timbersaw.
Yeah, the problem is, sort of as we were saying before, they're just way too under-leveled. They can't move out, they get picked off by themselves, even if they're in a group. This might be big.
So Boat's come flying in. Boat does land onto Bacon. Bacon's not taking too much damage. Chakram's coming out, trying to hold off those heroes, especially that Magnus, who takes a lot of damage. So does the Naga Siren from that Sanity Eclipse. Overgrowth pop. Squishy's got nowhere to go. And now the retreat from Goo's coming out. There's just not much they can do. Naga Siren still is not level 6, so she can't even protect Insanity as he tries to run. Shrapnel lands on for a few seconds, gives that slow. Then before stuff comes in, Leech Seed's out, and this should be a dead Insanity. He can't go anywhere, especially with that Leech Seed on top of him. Let's need a little bit more damage. Chakram's out. Chakram will finish him off, and Timbersaw will continue his killing spree. 6 for 1 with 5 assists. And at the same time, tier 3 tower bottom's going down, and there's nothing the side of Goo can do about it.
Yeah, definitely. So what I felt like Goo probably should have done there was have a lot of the heroes sort of on the ramp that's sort of near the ancients, and once that torrent went up, lifted a few of those heroes with the boat, then they should have had the rest of their heroes follow in. But the problem is they weren't really grouped up. They weren't sure if they were there, and they just didn't quite play it out. We might see Timbersaw fall, taking a bit of damage. No, he's just gonna get out.
Yeah, he picked up his bloodstone from that last engagement, and yeah, he just won't die now. He's too tanky, and especially once that reactive armor starts stacking up. Shield's been thrown in by Magnus, but he's not going to find any heroes. The side of YOLO have already started on their retreat, and Snare not going to help either. He gets force stuffed by his fellow tree, keeping him alive. But it's hard for Goo right now. How do you think Goo can try and turn this game back around? I mean, YOLO's now moved into the Roshan pit, and I think they possibly know about this. They would expect them to go in the Roshan pit, but they're not going to be able to make it in time. If they do, they can do a really big turnaround, but it's been hard for Goo. How can they turn this around?
They need to communicate a lot better and basically synchronize all their spells.
Maybe see.
Maybe going there.
Torrent lands on Bacon. Skewer comes flying in by Ishii. He hasn't been out front. He gets a 2-man RP, but then Ruski, he just chases him away. There's nothing he can do about it. And then Squishy, lifesteal all alone with no one to say. Nice torrent, nice split off into a boat. Aegis has been popped. Phoenix has been thrown out. Overgrowth is keeping them all into place. Magnus tries to throw out whatever he can. He gets thrown into an astral imprisonment for his insolence. 4 heroes dead. 5 heroes dead. That's a team wipe for YOLO, and all they lost in return was an Aegis.
Yeah, see that engagement with like the boat and the torrent, and I believe there's a split over there as well. That's sort of what they needed to do, but they had to do it when that RP was popped as well. And this is sort of what I've been saying all game. You know, Goo have the better wombo combo lineup, but they've just been misplacing their abilities. They haven't been timing them well. They haven't been synchronizing them together to ensure that they get the most out of them. You know, a lot of the boats have missed, or only hit on one hero or two. That boat there was much better, popped the Aegis, but it should have been when the RP happened, and that way they could have just done a lot more damage very quickly. In fact, this boat's going to miss as well, so it's a decent cooldown when you're getting racked as well. You probably want it within the next 50 seconds. So, but this is sort of what I've been saying. They just haven't really been placing their abilities quite right.
And there we go. There's the racks tier. The mid-range racks. There. The mid racks go down. The Astral Imprisonment's been thrown out. Will they decide to engage onto the Naga Siren? The Well in Death will miss, and they're just not going to worry about the Naga Siren. Naga Siren is now level 6, 25 minutes into the game. That's harsh, but at least she now has Song of the Siren. But it's a little too late, as the saying goes. And YOLO, they're just going to keep pressing their advantage. Everyone has their ultimates off cooldown. They're all topped up from health. No one's lost any mana purely because of the procs coming out from OD. And they're just going to keep pressure up, and we should see a short GG coming out by Goo. They do have an infest up on Ishii. Song of the Sirens pop. They've got 4 heroes if they want to go. Can they time this correctly, or we'll see a very early RP? There we go. They're waiting. They're ready. RP. It's not going to happen. Overgrowth pop. Sending Eclipse, and there's a 4-hero kill with a few auto attacks picking off that lifesteal. Instant turnaround. GG's are called, and YOLO will be taking their second game of the Amateur Weekend Cup brackets.
But yeah, like that, this song was good. They had a good opportunity, and then he got hexed, and then they died. It was very unfortunate. I feel like it was a bit too late anyway, and it sort of went back to what we were saying earlier. The supports are just underleveled. couldn't engage in the team fights they wanted. The abilities are a bit misplaced, and a great play by You Only Live Once. Congratulations to them for taking either game 1 or 2, I'm not exactly sure, but yeah. We will hop into the next game very shortly. Of course, I've been Zelref and I've been joined by Yoshi. We'll see you guys very shortly.